Captain Zektar stood on the bridge of his massive warship and watched another world burn. The orange flames reached up from the planet's surface like angry fingers trying to grab his ship. Black smoke covered half the world now. In 3 days, nothing would be left alive down there. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. This was how it should be. The Vorthak were the best hunters in the galaxy. They had proved it again and again. 17 star systems now belonged to them. 17 different species had tried to fight them and failed. The bridge crew worked quietly around him. All of them were tall, with green scales covering their bodies and yellow eyes that could see in the dark. Their claws clicked on the metal, controls as they worked. Each one was a perfect killer, born and raised for war. "Captain," said his second officer, walking up behind him. "The planet is almost finished. Should we move to the next system?" Zektar nodded. "Yes, but first call my son to the bridge." A few minutes later, young Kethavar entered. He was smaller than the others, still growing, but his eyes held the same cold hunger. At 16 years old, he was ready for his first hunt. Every young Vorthak had to lead the destruction of an entire species to become an adult. It was their most important tradition. "Father," Kethavar said, bowing his head. "Son, it is time." Zektar turned to face him. "You have trained for this day your whole life. You have learned to fight, to hunt, to kill. Now you must prove you are worthy to call yourself Vorthak." Kethavar's eyes lit up with excitement. "I am ready, Father. Which world will I hunt?" Zektar walked to a large screen showing a map of nearby star systems. Red marks showed the worlds they had already conquered. Green marks showed worlds that had no life. But there was one yellow mark that caught his attention. "Here," he said, pointing, with one clawed finger. "A small blue world in a system with 1 star. Our scouts found it last week." "Tell me about them," Kethavar said, moving closer to look. "They call themselves humans. They are weak, soft creatures with no claws and no scales. They cannot even fly between the stars yet. They use simple machines and live in small groups all over their world." Kethavar looked disappointed. "That sounds too easy, Father. Where is the honor in hunting prey that cannot fight back?" Zektar put a heavy hand on his son's shoulder. "A hunt is a hunt. Besides, you must start somewhere. When I was your age, my first hunt was against the Centauri. They were warriors with good weapons, and they still only lasted 2 weeks. These humans will be dead in 2 days." He turned to address the bridge crew. "Set course for the human system. We hunt again." Gand. Great ship turned in space, its engines glowing bright blue. Around it, 50 other warships did the same. The Vorthak fleet was like a pack of space sharks, always moving, always hungry. As they traveled through the dark between stars, Zektar told his son about their past victories. The peaceful Altarians had tried to surrender on the first day, offering all their wealth and knowledge. The Vorthak had killed them anyway because mercy was weakness. The smart Kepler colonies had tried to hide in underground cities. The Vorthak had simply cracked their planets open from space. Each species thinks they are special, Zektar explained. They believe they can find a way to survive, but they all make the same mistake. They think like prey animals instead of predators. "What mistake is that?" Kethavar asked. "They try to preserve their lives instead of taking ours. They run when they should fight. They hide when they should attack. They think about tomorrow when they should think about right now." The ship's computer announced their arrival at the human system. Through the big windows, they could see a bright yellow star with several small planets around it. The third planet was blue and white, covered in water and clouds. "It looks so peaceful," Kethavar said. "All worlds look peaceful from far away," Zektar replied. "But peace is just another word for weakness. The strong take what they want, the weak die." He called up information about the humans on his screen. The pictures showed strange creatures with pink or brown skin, no scales, and small teeth. They had hair growing from their heads in different colors. Some were bigger than others, but even the biggest ones looked tiny compared to a Vorthak warrior. "Look at them," Zektar said with disgust. "They do not even have proper claws. How? Do they kill their food? How do they fight their enemies? Maybe they do not have enemies, Kethvar suggested. Everything has enemies, son. These humans just have not met theirs yet. The fleet moved closer to the blue world. Their long-range sensors picked up radio signals coming from the planet. The humans were talking to each other, sharing information, telling stories, making plans. They had no idea death was coming for them. They seemed to communicate a lot, observed the science officer. Prey animals always make noise, Zektar said. They chatter because they are afraid of silence. We will give them something real to be afraid of. He looked at his son. Tomorrow, you will take command of your own ship and lead the first attack. Choose your target carefully. Make it hurt enough that the others will know fear, but not so much that they die too quickly. A good hunt should last at least a day. Kethvar nodded eagerly. He had waited his whole life for this moment. Soon he would be a true adult, a real hunter. The humans below had no idea they were about to become part of the most important day of his life. Begin the attack at dawn, Zektar ordered. Let the hunt begin. Lieutenant Jake Morrison was drinking his third cup of coffee when the computer started screaming. The big screen in front of him showed red warning lights flashing everywhere. He almost dropped his coffee mug as he ran to his station. What the hell is that? He said, staring at the readings. Something big was coming toward Earth from the edge of the solar system. Something really big. Jake worked at Cheyenne Mountain, deep inside a mountain in Colorado. His job was to watch for threats from space. Most days he watched for old satellites or pieces of space junk. Today was different. Today, 50 massive objects were heading straight for Earth. He picked up his phone and called his boss. Colonel Martinez, you need to see this right now. 5 minutes later, Colonel Martinez was standing behind Jake's chair looking at the same scary numbers. How big are these things? Each one is about the size of a city, Jake said. And they are moving fast. Really fast. Could they be asteroids? Jake shook his head. No, sir. Asteroids do not move in perfect formation like this. And they do not change direction. These things are ships. The colonel was quiet for a long moment. Then he picked up a red phone. Get me the president. Now. 2 hours later, every military base on Earth knew the truth. Alien ships were coming, and they would arrive in less than a day. Nobody knew if they were friendly or not, but their size and speed made everyone nervous. Captain Lisa Rodriguez got the call while she was eating dinner with her crew on the moon. She commanded the USS Defiance, the newest and most advanced spaceship humans had ever built. It was not very big compared to the alien ships, but it was fast and carried nuclear weapons. All hands to battle stations, she announced over the ship's speakers. This is not a drill. Her crew of 200 men and women ran to their positions. They had trained for this day, but nobody really believed it would happen. Fighting aliens was something from movies, not real life. Lieutenant Commander Pete Jackson, her second officer, came to the bridge. Captain, we just got orders from Earth. We are to intercept the alien fleet and try to communicate with them. And if they do not want to talk? Lisa asked. Pete looked grim. Then we buy Earth as much time as we can. Lisa nodded. She understood. Her small ship could not stop 50 alien warships. But maybe they could slow them down or learn something useful before they died. The Defiance left moon orbit and headed toward the edge of the solar system. Behind them, Earth prepared for the worst. Every military unit was put on high alert. Cities began moving people into underground shelters. The president went on television to tell everyone to stay calm, but nobody was calm. On the alien flagship, Captain Zektar watched the small human ship approaching. He was surprised. Most species tried to hide when they saw his fleet. These humans were actually coming toward them. Father, said Kethvar, why are they not running away? Maybe they do not understand what we are, Zektar replied. Some species are too stupid to be afraid. The human ship stopped about 1 million miles away from the alien fleet. Lisa Rodriguez tried to contact them on every radio frequency she could think of. She sent pictures, music, and mathematical equations. She tried everything humans had ever imagined for talking to aliens. The aliens did not answer. "Captain," said her communications officer, "I am picking up their radio signals. They are talking to each other, but I cannot understand their language." "Keep trying," Lisa ordered. On the alien ship, the communications officer turned to Zektar. "Captain, the humans are trying to communicate with us. What are they saying?" "I do not know. Their language is very strange, but they keep repeating the same signals over and over." Zekvar looked at his father. "Should we answer them?" "Why?" Zektar asked. "We do not talk to our food before we eat it." The alien fleet kept moving toward Earth. The small human ship followed them, still trying to talk. Lisa Rodriguez was getting desperate. In 6 hours, the aliens would reach Earth. She had to do something. "Load all nuclear missiles," she ordered. "Captain," Pete said quietly, "those are city-killer weapons. If we use them against the aliens, they will know we are hostile." "Pete, look at those ships. They are not here to trade recipes. They are warships, and there are 50 of them." "I think they already know we are hostile." The missiles were loaded. Lisa took a deep breath and opened a channel to Earth. "Command, this is Defiance. The aliens will not respond to any communication attempts. I am going to try something else." "What do you have in mind, Captain?" came the reply from Earth. "I am going to get their attention." Lisa turned to her weapons officer. "Fire one missile at the lead ship, not to kill, just to let them know we have teeth." The nuclear missile shot through space toward the alien flagship. It exploded against their shields in a bright flash of light and radiation. The alien ship was not damaged, but every alien on the bridge stopped what they were doing. "They attacked us," Kethavar said, surprised. Zektar was surprised too, but he was also angry. "The prey just bit the hunter. How dare they?" "Should we destroy them now?" asked the weapons officer. "Not yet," Zektar said. "Let us see what else these humans will do." On the Defiance, Lisa watched the alien fleet slow down. Good. At least, now she knew they were paying attention. "Captain," Pete said, "they are turning toward us." 3 alien ships broke away from the main fleet and headed straight for the Defiance. Lisa could see that each one was 10 times bigger than her ship. "All hands prepare for battle," she announced. "Remember, we are not trying to win. We are trying to learn everything we can about these aliens before we die. That information might save Earth." The alien ships opened fire with bright green energy beams. The Defiance's shields held for about 10 seconds before they failed. The next hit damaged the engine room. "Captain," the engineer called over the radio, "we are losing power. I can give you 1 more minute at full speed, then we are dead in space." Lisa looked at her crew. They were all young, all brave, and all about to die. But they were not afraid. They were angry. "If we are going to die," she said, "let us make it count. Set course for the biggest alien ship, full speed." "Captain," Pete said, "are you ordering a ramming attack?" "Yes, I am. Maybe we can hurt them. Maybe we can slow them down. Maybe we can show them that humans do not die quietly." The Defiance turned toward the largest alien ship and accelerated to maximum speed. The aliens kept firing, but Lisa's ship kept coming. At the last second, she activated the ship's self-destruct system. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. When the light faded, both ships were gone. On Earth, people watched the sky and saw a brief new star appear and disappear. They did not know what it meant, but somehow they knew that brave people had just died fighting for them. Zektar stared at the empty space where his ship used to be. He had lost 50 warriors in that explosion. The humans had sacrificed themselves just to kill 50 aliens. "Father," Kethavar said quietly, "I do not think these humans are like the other species we have hunted." Zektar nodded slowly. For the first time in his life, he was beginning to wonder if this hunt might be different from all the others. The alien ships reached Earth 6 hours after the Defiance died. Kethavar commanded his own ship now, leading the first attack just like his father had promised. He chose New York City as his target because it had the most humans living close, together. The young Vorthak expected the humans to run and hide when they saw his ship appear in the sky. Instead, something strange happened. Air Force jets started flying toward him, firing missiles. Army tanks rolled through the streets, pointing their guns up at his ship. Even individual humans were shooting at him with small weapons that could not possibly hurt his ship. "Why are they fighting?" he asked his crew. "Do they not understand that they cannot win?" His weapons officer shrugged. "Maybe they are too stupid to know when they are beaten." Kethvar ordered his ship to land in Central Park. The big trees burned as his ship settled onto the ground. Immediately, hundreds of Vorthak warriors poured out, ready to begin the hunt. That was when Kethvar got his first real surprise. The humans were waiting for them. Major Alex Turner had been a soldier for 15 years. He had fought in 3 wars and seen things that gave him nightmares. But he had never seen anything like the aliens that came out of that ship. They were huge, covered in scales, and moved like giant lizards. Their claws could cut through steel. But Alex was not afraid. He was angry. These things had come to his planet to hurt his people. That was not going to happen without a fight. "Remember," he told his soldiers over the radio, "these things are big and strong, but they bleed just like everything else. Hit them hard and hit them fast." The battle for New York began at sunrise. The aliens thought it would be easy. They were wrong. The humans had spent the night preparing. They knew the aliens were coming, so they had set up traps. When the first group of Vorthak warriors walked down 5th Avenue, the buildings on both sides exploded. Humans had filled them with bombs and waited for the right moment. 20 alien warriors died in the first 5 minutes. Kethvar could not believe what he was seeing. These soft, weak humans were actually hurting his soldiers. They were using their own city as a weapon, destroying their own buildings to kill aliens. "Sir," his second officer said, "maybe we should call for help." "No," Kethvar said quickly. "Father is watching. I cannot fail on my first hunt." He sent more warriors into the city. The humans were ready for them too. Sergeant Rick Stone led a squad of Marines through the subway tunnels under the city. They knew the aliens would not expect an attack from underground. When the Vorthak warriors walked over a subway grate, Rick and his men opened fire from below. The aliens were tough, but bullets still hurt them, especially when 50 humans were shooting at the same time. "Keep moving," Rick shouted to his men. "Do not let them pin us down." The humans fought like nothing the Vorthak had ever seen before. When one soldier got hurt, 2 others would risk their lives to save him. When they ran out of bullets, they used knives. When they ran out of knives, they used rocks. Private Amy Clark was only 19 years old. She had joined the army to pay for college. Now she was crouched behind a burned-out car trying to protect a group of children who were too scared to run. 3 Vorthak warriors were coming toward them. Amy only had 2 bullets left in her rifle. She could kill maybe 1 alien before the others got her. But if she ran, the children would die. Amy made her choice. She jumped out from behind the car and started shooting. Her first shot hit the lead alien in the chest. He stumbled but kept coming. Her second shot hit him in the head, and he fell down. The other 2 aliens reached her before she could reload. Their claws tore through her body armor like paper. Amy fell to the ground, bleeding badly, but she was still alive and she was still fighting. With her last breath, she pulled the pin on a grenade and held it tight against her chest. "They may be better predators," she whispered, "but we are better pack hunters." The explosion killed all 3 aliens and saved the children. Word of Amy's sacrifice spread through the human forces like wildfire. Soldiers who had been ready to give up suddenly found new strength. They started fighting harder, taking bigger risks, caring more about protecting each other than protecting themselves. Dr. Catherine Bell was not a soldier. She was a scientist working in an underground laboratory in Colorado. While the battle raged in New York, she was studying pieces of alien technology that had been recovered from the space battle. What she found changed everything. "General Harrison," she said over the secure phone line, "I have discovered something important about these aliens." "What is it, Doctor?" "They have never been exposed to Earth diseases. Their immune systems do not know how to fight our bacteria and viruses. A common cold could kill them." "Are you sure?" "I tested samples of their blood against ordinary flu virus. It destroyed their cells in minutes. General, we do not need better weapons. We need better germs." Meanwhile, in the ruins of a government building, engineer Paul Martinez was working on a different kind of weapon. He had found an alien energy gun that was still working. Instead of trying to copy it, he was trying to understand it. "If I can figure out how their weapons work," he told his assistant, "maybe I can build something that will stop them." It took him 6 hours, but he finally cracked the alien technology. Their energy weapons were powerful, but they had one weakness. They were designed to work against alien materials. Human materials, especially certain metals, actually reflected their energy beams. "We can build shields," Paul said excitedly. "We can turn their own weapons against them." High above the city, pilot Amanda Foster was doing something no human had ever done before. She was flying a captured alien fighter. The ship had crashed in the Hudson River, and Amanda had managed to get it working again. "This is crazy," she muttered to herself as she figured out the alien controls. "But if it works, we can use their own air power against them." The alien ship was faster and stronger than anything humans had built. Amanda used it to attack the Fourth Act ground forces from above. The aliens were so surprised to see one of their own ships shooting at them that they did not react for several seconds. That was long enough for Amanda to destroy 2 alien transport ships. By the end of the first day, Kethvar had lost half of his warriors. The humans were still fighting, and they were getting better at it. They were learning how to hurt the aliens, how to avoid their attacks, and how to work together. "Sir," his communications officer said, "Captain Zektar is asking for a report." Kethvar did not want to answer. How could he tell his father that the hunt was not going as planned? How could he admit that these weak humans were actually winning? "Tell him," Kethvar said slowly, "that the hunt continues." But in his heart, he was beginning to wonder if his people had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not like any prey species the Vorthak had ever hunted before. They fought with a fury that came from something deeper than the desire to survive. They fought like they actually cared about each other more than they cared about themselves, and that was something the Vorthak had never learned to understand. 6 months after the first alien ships arrived, Earth looked very different. Half the cities were damaged or destroyed, but the humans were still fighting. More importantly, they were winning. General Frank Harrison stood in his underground command center in Colorado looking at reports from around the world. The numbers told an amazing story. The aliens had started with 50,000 warriors. Now they had less than 20,000. The humans had killed 30,000 of the galaxy's most feared predators. "Sir," said his aide, Colonel Janet Phillips, "we just got word from the European front. The French resistance destroyed another alien supply ship. That makes 12 this week." Frank nodded. The humans had learned something important in the past 6 months. The aliens were tough fighters, but they needed supplies just like everyone else. Cut off their food, fuel, and weapons, and even the deadliest predators would starve. "What about the virus project?" Frank asked. "Dr. Bell says it will be ready in 2 days. We can deploy it through their own supply lines." Frank smiled. The humans had turned their greatest weakness into their strongest weapon. The aliens thought human diseases made Earth's people weak. Instead, those same diseases were about to destroy the alien invasion force. Captain Laura Thompson commanded the new Earth fleet from the bridge of her flagship, the Retribution. The ship was built using both human and alien technology. It was faster than any human ship had ever been, and its weapons could punch through alien armor. "Captain," said her weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Pete Jackson, "we have 3 alien battle groups approaching from the asteroid belt." "How many ships?" 15 total, all heavy cruisers. Laura looked at her tactical display. Her fleet had 12 ships, but they were all smaller than the alien vessels. 6 months ago, this would have been a hopeless fight. Today was different. All ships, this is Retribution. Execute attack pattern Delta. Remember, we are faster than they are. Use that. The Earth fleet spread out and attacked from multiple directions at once. The aliens tried to form a defensive line, but the human ships were too quick. They darted in, fired their weapons, and disappeared before the aliens could shoot back. In 30 minutes, all 15 alien ships were destroyed. The Earth fleet lost only 1 ship. Laura opened a communication channel to Earth. "Command, this is Retribution. The asteroid belt is clear. We are moving to intercept the next alien supply convoy. On the alien flagship, Captain Zektar stared at reports from across the galaxy. The news was all bad. The humans were not just fighting back on Earth. Their example was spreading to other worlds. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we are getting reports of rebellion on Altair 7. The survivors are attacking our garrison troops." "What about the Centauri colonies?" "The same thing. They are using human tactics. Hit and run attacks, sabotage, suicide bombings." Zektar slammed his fist on the command console. The Altarians had been peaceful slaves for 10 years. The Centauri had accepted defeat 5 years ago. Now they were all fighting again, and it was the humans' fault. "How did this happen?" he demanded. His son Kethvar entered the bridge. The young Vorthak looked older than his years. The past 6 months of fighting on Earth had changed him. "Father, I think I know the answer." "Tell me." "The humans fight differently than we do. When one of us gets hurt, we either get stronger or we die. When one of them gets hurt, the others get angry. When we lose a battle, we retreat and plan revenge. When they lose a battle, they learn from it and get better." Zektar studied his son's face. "You sound like you respect them." "I do," Kethvar admitted. "They are still weak compared to us, but they are not cowards. And they are not stupid." Back on Earth, Dr. Richard Gray was putting the finishing touches on the most dangerous weapon ever created. He called it the Terran virus. It was designed to attack only alien biology, leaving humans and Earth animals completely safe. "Are you sure this will work?" asked his assistant, Dr. Susan Lee. "I tested it on alien tissue samples. The virus destroyed their cells in less than an hour. Once we release this into their food supply, the entire alien army will be dead in 3 days." Dr. Gray loaded the virus into small capsules that looked exactly like alien food pills. Intelligence agent Nicole Adams would smuggle them onto alien supply ships. The aliens would carry their own destruction right to their troops. Meanwhile, teenage hacker Emma Johnson was working on a different kind of weapon. She had been trying to break into the alien communication network for months. Today, she finally succeeded. "I am in," she whispered to herself as alien text scrolled across her computer screen. "I can see everything they are saying to each other." Emma quickly copied everything she could find. Battle plans, supply routes, troop movements, and most importantly, communications with other alien fleets across the galaxy. What she found was amazing. The aliens were not just fighting humans on Earth. They were fighting rebellions on 17 different worlds. The galaxy was rising up against them. Emma had an idea. She started uploading videos of human victories to the alien network. Footage of Amanda Foster flying alien ships, pictures of destroyed alien bases, reports of human tactics that worked. She sent these files to rebel groups on every alien-controlled world. The message was simple. The great predators could be beaten on the planet Kepler 9. A group of survivors watched Emma's videos in secret. They had been hiding in caves for 3 years ever since the aliens destroyed their cities. Now they saw something that gave them hope. "Look," said their leader, pointing at the screen. "The humans are using our own tactics. Underground warfare, hit-and-run attacks, sabotage. But the humans are winning," said another survivor. "We have been hiding. They have been fighting." Within hours, the Kepler survivors came out of their caves and attacked the nearest alien base. They used human tactics and alien weapons. The base fell in 2 hours. Similar uprisings began on 12 other worlds. The aliens found themselves fighting wars on every front. Their empire was crumbling. Admiral Steve Mitchell watched the liberation of Altair 7 from the bridge of his command ship. Human and alien rebel forces had worked together to free the planet. The alien garrison had surrendered after a week of fighting. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we are getting surrender. Requests from alien forces on 6 different worlds." Steve could hardly believe it. A year ago, the aliens had seemed unstoppable. Now they were giving up without a fight. "What are their terms?" he asked. "Complete withdrawal from all occupied systems. They want to return to their home world and never come back." Steve thought about all the people who had died fighting these aliens, Amy Clark, who died protecting children. Lisa Rodriguez, who rammed her ship into an alien warship. Thousands of soldiers who had given their lives to protect Earth. Tell them, Steve said slowly, that we will accept their surrender. But there will be conditions. The conditions were simple. The aliens would free all their slaves, return all stolen property, and pay for the damage they had caused. They would also allow human observers on their home world to make sure they never tried to conquer anyone again. Most importantly, they would help the humans rebuild the worlds they had destroyed. Captain Zektar received the human terms while his ship limped back toward Vorthak space. Half his fleet was destroyed. Most of his army was dead from the human virus. His son was in the ship's medical bay, sick from the same disease that had killed so many of their warriors. Father, Kethvar said weakly when Zektar visited him, I understand now why we lost. Why? We thought we were hunting prey, but we were really fighting predators. The humans are pack hunters just like us. But their pack includes everyone on their world, and now it includes everyone in the galaxy. Zektar looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were helping to free worlds that had been under Vorthak control for decades. The hunters had become the hunted. For the first time in his life, Zektar felt something he had never experienced before. He felt ashamed. 1 year after the first alien ship arrived at Earth, Captain Zektar stood in what used to be the United Nations building in New York City. Half the building was destroyed, but humans had rebuilt the other half. Now it served as the meeting place for the new Galactic Peace Council. Zektar wore no weapons and no armor. His hands were empty, and his head was bowed. Behind him stood 12 other Vorthak leaders, all of them looking as defeated as he felt. They had come to surrender their empire to the species they had tried to destroy. Secretary of Defense Janet Phillips sat across from them at a large table. Around the table sat representatives from 17 different species. Humans, Altarians, Centauri, Kepler survivors, and many others. All of them had been slaves of the Vorthak Empire. Now they were free. Captain Zektar, Janet said in a calm voice, do you accept the terms of surrender that we have offered? Zektar looked up. His yellow eyes were tired. We accept all terms, complete withdrawal from all occupied worlds, payment of war damages, release of all prisoners, supervision of our government by the Galactic Council. And do you understand that any future acts of aggression by your people will result in the complete destruction of your homeworld? We understand. Zektar's voice was barely a whisper. We also accept full responsibility for the crimes we have committed against the galaxy. Janet nodded. Then this war is over. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see human and alien workers rebuilding the city together. Former enemies were now working side by side. It was something she had never thought she would see. Admiral Steve Mitchell commanded the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships from 20 different worlds flew together under human leadership. They were not conquerors. They were protectors, making sure that freed worlds stayed free and that new threats were stopped before they could grow. Admiral, said his communications officer, we are getting reports of peaceful contact with 3 new species in the Omega sector. Any signs of hostility? No, sir. They are asking to join the Galactic Council. They have heard about what we did to the Vorthak, and they want to be our allies instead of our enemies. Steve smiled. Fear was a powerful teacher. Word of humanity's victory had spread across the galaxy. Species that might have become threats were choosing diplomacy instead of war. Set course for the Omega sector, Steve ordered. Let us go make some new friends. On the planet Haven, which used to be the Vorthak capital world, Ambassador Helen Carter was building something that had never existed before. She was creating the first truly democratic government in galactic history. Representatives from 40 different worlds gathered in the Great Hall that used to be the Vorthak throne room. Humans, aliens, former slaves, and even some reformed Vorthak worked together to write laws that would protect everyone. The first law, Helen announced, is simple. No species has the right to enslave, conquer, or destroy another species. Any violation of this law will be met with immediate response from the Galactic Defense Force. An old Altarian delegate raised his hand. What if a species attacks in self-defense? Self-defense is always allowed, Helen replied, but the Council will investigate all conflicts to determine who was really the aggressor. A young Centauri asked, what about species that are naturally aggressive like the Vorthak? Helen looked across the room at Kethvar, who now represented his people on the Council. The young Vorthak had changed greatly in the past year. The virus had nearly killed him, but it had also taught him something important about mortality. Every species can change, Helen said. The Vorthak were raised to be predators, but they can learn to be protectors instead. Kethvar stood up slowly. The human ambassador is correct. My people have much to learn about living in peace. We ask for patience as we try to become better than we were. Several delegates nodded. The Vorthak had lost their empire, but they had not lost their chance for redemption. Dr. Catherine Bell worked in her new laboratory on Haven, studying diseases from across the galaxy. Her job now was to cure the plagues that the Vorthak had spread during their conquests. Many worlds were still sick from biological weapons. Catherine was determined to heal them all. Doctor, said her assistant, we just received samples from Kepler-12. The Vorthak used some kind of nerve poison there 5 years ago. Any survivors? A few thousand living in underground shelters. They cannot come to the surface because the poison is still in the air. Catherine loaded the samples into her analyzer. Then we will find a way to clean their air. No one stays underground forever, not on my watch. She had already cured 6 different Vorthak bioweapons. Kepler-12 would be the 7th world she brought back to life. Engineer Paul Martinez was building the future. His new shipyards in Earth orbit produced vessels that combined the best of human and alien technology. The ships were fast, strong, and designed for exploration instead of war. The new Galaxy-class starship is ready for testing, he told Admiral Mitchell over the radio. It can travel farther and faster than anything the Vorthak ever built. What will you call it? Paul smiled. The USS Hope, because that is what we are giving to the galaxy. Pilot Amanda Foster commanded the Hope on its first mission. She was exploring a distant star system that had never been visited by any spacefaring species. Her crew included humans, reformed Vorthak, Altarians, and 3 other species. Captain, said her science officer, we are detecting radio signals from the 3rd planet. Primitive broadcasts, but definitely artificial. Another new species? It looks like it. They seem to be in the early stages of technological development. Amanda thought carefully. A year ago, first contact had meant invasion and death. Today it meant something very different. Send them a simple mathematical sequence, she ordered. Let them know someone is listening, but do not approach their world without permission. We are explorers now, not conquerors. The message was sent. Within hours, the new species responded with their own mathematical patterns. First contact was peaceful. Back on Earth, Emma Johnson had become the galaxy's first interspecies communications expert. She worked to create translation programs that allowed all the different species to talk to each other easily. The hardest part, she told a group of students, is not translating the words, it is translating the ideas. Different species think in different ways. One student asked, how do you translate the idea of sacrifice to a species that has never heard of it? Emma thought about Amy Clark, who died protecting children she had never met. You tell them stories, she said. You show them examples. You teach them that some things are more important than staying alive. In the rebuilt city of New York, there was a memorial wall with thousands of names. Human names, alien names, and the names of every species that had died fighting for freedom. At the top of the wall, carved in letters big enough to see from space, were Amy Clark's last words. They may be better predators, but we are better pack hunters. Tourists from across the galaxy came to read those words and understand what they meant. Captain Zektar visited the memorial every day. He would stand there for hours, reading the names of people his forces had killed. His son Kethvar often joined him. Do you think they will ever forgive us? Kethvar asked one day. The humans already have, Zektar replied. That is what makes them different from us. We conquer our enemies, they make friends out of them. Is that why they won? Zektar nodded slowly. They did not just defeat our bodies. They defeated our way of thinking. They showed the galaxy that strength comes from helping others, not hurting them. As the sun set over New York, humans and aliens walked the streets together. Children of different species played in parks that had been battlefields a year before. Former enemies shared meals and told stories. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. The most dangerous predators were not the ones with the biggest claws or the strongest weapons. They were the ones who cared more about protecting their pack than protecting themselves, and humanity's pack now included everyone who believed in freedom. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of galactic friendship had begun. And it all started because one small blue planet refused to die quietly.